The coronavirus has affected all of us, both in our personal lives and while at work. Since the July 4th holiday weekend, we've seen a significant increase in cases and sadly experienced our first fatality. Our hearts go out to the family members of this Saltchuk Family Company employee and anyone else that may have been affected by this virus. Most of the cases appear to be related to transmissions from family members and community members. We will hear stories about Saltchuk Family Company employees about how they have been impacted by this virus. And while you may not have personally been impacted by it, the stories, which are very powerful, and I thank them for sharing them, serve as a reminder for all of us to stay on our guard.
So then my mother developed a cough. Never had a fever, or if it was a fever, it was always under 100 and it was very, very low grade. So all she had was a cough. She sounded like bronchitis, and then it moved down to something that, which in an elderly woman they would think would be pneumonia. And so no one thought she had coronavirus. She had bronchitis and that had turned into pneumonia. And none of her caregivers, none of the 8 caregivers were showing any symptoms of corona. We think it was an asymptomatic caregiver, came in, gave it to either another caregiver or my mother, and that no one else showed symptoms until my mother went to this hospital and was tested positive. As a result of my mother going to the hospital and testing positive, we tested all the other caregivers, and 7 out of 8 were positive. So that means that 7 out of 8 were symptomatic. Some of them eventually became symptomatic, but this is, a long period of time where they had been asymptomatic, and going home to their families and going to the grocery store and going out into the community without any knowledge that they were busy spreading the virus. And, it's the kind of end of her life that she didn't wish, we didn't wish. No one around her, surrounded by healthcare providers in masks. Just got to the point where it wasn't enough oxygen support. And so it's just this little microcosm of how easy it is for this particular virus to pass to people. And some have a mild outcome, some have a serious outcome, and it's almost impossible to predict. You can look at it and say if you're young or healthy, it's more likely, but it isn't certain. And if you're old, it's more likely, but it isn't certain. And there's just no certainty with the virus. It's just a pesky, insidious, and easy to contract thing.
I just had a fever, off and on. It would come and break, and then I was not feeling for me that bad, no. I was feeling a little tired, achy, and I went to be careful. I had just come back from Peru. Then they said, oh, we'll have it in 3 days. I didn't get any response. I was still having the fever. So I went back, and then they said, they looked on the computer and said, go into that room. We're going to do some more tests on you. The guy said, take off, put on this gown. And I woke up 28 days later. I recovered very quickly, faster than most people. I was walking within, I think, 4 days without a walker. What I say to people is that this is serious. We don't need, to spread this virus. We need to be concerned about our family. So to get relaxed inside the home, with their family. They seem like if it's a family member, they're immune. So we need to be careful and not to do that, because the thought for me is to have left my loved one or to give the virus to my loved one. So that for me is paramount. So in the workplace, I think we need to practice good hygiene, use the sanitizers, do the distancing, and just make sure that we do that, but not only at work. We carry it at home. We carry it everywhere that we go. It's that important. So we need to control the spread of the virus.
Family is kind of unique with the COVID-19 situation. It started back in March, March 7th to be a fact. there were two funerals, one on my mom's side and one on my dad's side, not COVID related, but we had family come down from up north, and a week later, I had over 50 members of my family test positive for COVID-19. And some was very severe. I had several on ventilators. One of the worst was my dad. My dad's 73 years old, in very good health, but managed to battle through it, through hospitals over several weeks. And didn't lose any family members on my dad's side, but from those funerals on my mom's side, we lost a aunt and uncle. So it hit our family pretty hard very early. After that, we thought we would do everything we could to protect my mom and my uncle because they both had underlying health issues. So they were in Valdosta, Georgia, and we had them in the house. No one could come in, no one could come visit. We did everything we could just to make sure they were safe. Unfortunately, my uncle's caregiver was positive, and that actually spread it with my uncle first and then to my mom. And my uncle tested positive on a Sunday, my mom tested positive on a Tuesday, and my mom transitioned that Thursday, my uncle that Friday, roughly about 12 hours apart. You're doing everything, there's probably something else you can do. That's what I get out of it. You may think you're doing everything you possibly can, but there may be another step. So always keep your guard up, always keep watch.
We want our employees to have that mindset, that speak up, take action mindset, the stop work mindset, the personal accountability mindset, the responsibility to keep each other safe mindset. And asked our team that if you are interacting with somebody, you need to have the mindset that they will call you the next day and tell you that they tested positive for COVID. And depending on the actions that you've taken with PPE, with social distancing, with hygiene, you are either going to be on the primary list, which might require quarantine. It might further expose other people, or you're going to be in a safe spot on the secondary list, and that's a really good place to be. And we have control over that.
I challenge each of us to make the safe decision when you go about your daily activities. These decisions should be based on safety being our common value versus emotional decisions. If we can do this, we can significantly reduce risk and ride out this pandemic without anyone else getting sick. At Saltchuk, we care about your health and your safety, and more importantly, I know your colleagues, your supervisors, and your leadership does as well. Thank you for watching.